Не думай, что я не убью тебя, гном.
Когда мы позволяли злу быть сильнее нас?
Эта война не наша.
Нет, это наша война.
You probably get lots of congratulations
I'll
today.
take more.
It
Thank you.
was fantastic.
Thank you.
I love the pace. I love the balance. Everything was so dynamic.
Oh, good.
She watched the whole movie without, you know, just moving like that. So excited. That
Yes,
movie feels darker. Did it feel for you too?
Yes, it did. I mean, I saw it last night, and I think there's just more. Again, from my point of view, in the playing of it, there is more scope. So there are moments of lightness that with Bilbo. There are still light moments and still some comedic moments, and he has moments of innocence and fear and the things that you recognise from the first film. But he also has moments of anger and terror, and where he has to act aggressively, where he has to kill and stuff. You know, so it's. I mean, I suppose I didn't see it in the doing of it. Now is a dark moment. It's just that you play the situation. So whatever situation you're in, is what you play. And if you're playing, going in to see an enormous dragon who may kill you, that's scary. Whereas if you think your most precious possession is going to be taken from a spider, then you've got to fucking kill the spider, and you just have to act.
I think I always knew that there was so much going to be packed into movie 2. I mean, you wouldn't believe the amount of material that had to be cut from the film. It makes me wonder what's going to be left for movie 3, but it will be as packed as movie 2, and I think that's why it feels so immediate and so dynamic, because the dwarves are tripping over obstacle after event after engagement to get to the mountain, and you know, of course, inside the mountain is the dragon, so it's a magnificent finale to the second film.
One of the beautiful things that Peter has done in delving deeper into the characters is he's been able to bring up a lot more beautiful, universal topics, controversial topics, you know, like class struggle and prejudice, and I think my character embodies a lot of those things. And you know, there's those awful and wonderful comments that Thranduil makes about Legolas's feelings for Tauriel, and you realize all of a sudden she is a lower class of elf, and that is not an acceptable match for his son. And then you see her realizing the beauty in this dwarf in the elven cells, and you realize, oh, well, there's a lot of racism that goes on between elves and dwarves, and she is sort of breaking through that and seeing that he's actually a dynamic and beautiful being. And so I love being a part of that. I love being a part of bringing in some deeper, more difficult issues and topics into a children's film.
You cannot hunt 30 orcs on your own.
But I'm not on my own.
You knew I would come.
What's the spirit of this book is about? How would you explain it to, let's say, 10 years old, like my granddaughter was watching it yesterday?
Well, it's a journey of friendship and discovery and self-discovery, I think. And lots of the characters in the book, you know, Bilbo especially, discovers he's a much bigger character and a personality than he ever thought he could be. You know, hobbits don't travel, as he says, and he travels further than any hobbit has ever traveled before, and becomes a very brave little hobbit and does things that even he can't believe he can do. And my character, I feel like, you know, Bard starts out as just a lowly bargeman who's just looking after his children and making some extra money by bringing these dwarves into his town. And he ends up, I don't want to spoil the film, in the third film, you know, but he does things that even he didn't believe he could do. And so this journey of self-discovery, maybe that's the thing you find from this. And that greed doesn't pay.
With age, when you read it again and again, and it feels darker, it feels metaphorical, almost pretty contemporary, even if you know, make a parallel between greed and sacrifice. Don't you think?
I agree, and it was something that I was really keen to explore in terms of its contemporary resonance, because it is a fantasy film. It is geared towards a younger audience, perhaps, but I think there is something really interesting about playing a character that is literally consumed by greed, so that the accumulation of that wealth corrupts him physically and mentally. I think that isn't a metaphor, it's literally the case in the film, and I think that does have a relevance to where we're at.
I think Tolkien was a master of sort of the plain and obvious, something being in plain sight but hidden away. And I mean, he was able to metaphorically represent things that we all know so naturally, but don't necessarily identify all of the time. And I think that's why his books have become these classics that go on through the generations, is because he was tackling universal truth in all of his stories.